Hi guys, and welcome back to another video for Phantasy Star Online Blueburst. Now this video is going to relate specifically to the Ephinea server of Blueburst, so if you're not playing Ephinea, this video probably won't really relate to you. So what I want to do is, there is a quest in Ephinea, it's a shop quest called The Forge, and the point of this quest is it basically gives you a lot of different items that you can't get normally, but a lot of them have very stringent trade requirements. So the way I see this quest is it's kind of a quest designed for predominantly like end game level players who've maybe hunted a lot of the stuff that they want to find and just want something extra to do in the game. So what I'll do is I'll show you the quest, I'll show you the different trade-ins, and I'll show you why it's a quest that I think is designed more for high level. So to actually access the Forge, you need to be in episode 1 game. And at the quest counter, if you go into the shop menu, there is an option there for the Forge, and again, just to reiterate, this is only for Ephinea. It says, my new Forge can smelt items into new items, come see what I can do. Welcome, Taker. You've heard of Montague's Forge and new experiments. You found a method to combine unrelated items and craft a tool to change an item's appearance. Not sure how the madman does it. This is only the start of his new experiments. Head towards the bank and you'll find Montague and Eleanor. Pay attention to what they say. There's not a lot that can be done with the current Forge, but promise not to repeat this. Rumour is that Montague is researching particles and auras for our armour. Maybe this power can be granted to items that lack such aesthetics today. There's also this fellow near the shops. He's handing out some free items to reverse the dock's work. That is all. Yeah, so the way this works basically is Montague is the main NPC for this quest that you want to be speaking to. So we should probably cover this just first. So the main thing that you get from Montague is things called platings or different paints. What these are is they are essentially things to change the appearance of gear. So, like skins. Now, Ephinea does experiment with this a little bit. So, Ephinea does have a thing called weapon hearts, which are basically, it's essentially like a layering system for your weapon. So you can make a weapon look like another weapon. So, as an example, if you've got an Excalibur and you hate the look of it, you could use a Heart of Flamberge on it and it will make it look like a Flamberge, but it will still have the stats and everything of the Excalibur. So it's a really good way of, you know, improving the appearance of weapons that you don't like the look of. Now, what Montague's shop does here is a lot of his trades are for things called platings or paints, and they are used to change the appearance specifically of a red ring. So this is why the Forge quest is designed for more endgame, because the red ring, as you probably know, you can't even equip it until you get to level 180, and pretty much the entire quest is designed around this. The other thing is that a lot of the trading requirements for these are extremely punishing and will require a lot of grinding or a lot of trading. So I do see this as like almost like the end game of PSO Ephinea. You know, once you've managed to grind all your gear and got the best gear you can get for your character, this is another way of adding a little extra thing to it. It's essentially bringing fashion to PSO. So if I go into my inventory here, you can see I have a red ring here. And what you'll notice is the name says red ring, but then there's an asterisk after it. Now the asterisk means that it has some kind of skin applied to it. And for my case, if I go to the description, you can see it says skin cyan. And that's because when I use this character, you've probably noticed in previous videos, but the red ring that she uses is actually like a light blue color instead. So the paints that I use for the red ring, you don't actually get those in this quest. This quest is mainly for platings. The paints tend to come from, as far as I'm aware, mainly from the anniversary shop. I think there are some other shops in the game that sell them as well. But the reason I mention the paint is because this is where this NPC comes in. So this guy here says, psst. Yeah, you. Listen, I know the dock's work isn't for everyone. I have the tools to remove camouflage from those items. Free of charge. You interested? So you can say, show me what you have. Now, what he'll have is an item called a neutralizer. If you use a neutralizer when you've got an item that's got a camouflage equipped, it will get rid of that camouflage. Now, just a big warning about this. If you use a neutralizer, you do not get the camo back. Now, bear in mind how hard some of these paints or platings are to get. That is a lot of wasted work if you delete the camo. So make sure you are absolutely 100% sure you want to get rid of the camo before you use a neutralizer, because you will not get that back and you'll have to farm for it again. So I'm going to say not interested because I don't want to lose what I've got. But if you do want to get rid of a skin that you've applied, so let's say you apply a skin to your red ring and you don't like how it looks, you can use this guy to get a neutralizer to get rid of that and revert it back to a regular red ring. It is important to note at this point as well that none of the platings or paints have any kind of effect on the red ring itself. The red ring will function as a normal red ring. It's also important to note that it doesn't apply to any other rings in the game. It is just the red ring. So onto the main part of the quest, which is, Eleanor and Montague. It's been a while, Taker. I'm assisting the doc with research into other projects. It's not ready yet, but I think he'll enjoy it when the work is completed. That's all I have for now. Now, they did hint at the start of the quest that maybe they're going to add more to this quest, so I'm assuming that's where Eleanor will come in later, but for now we just have Montague. So if we speak to Montague, he says, "Hey, it's Taker, right? It's been a while." "Oh yeah, I recently perfected a method to camouflage some barriers. Can I take a look? Can I take a look at what I've accomplished so far?" So yeah, show me what you have. So these are your options. Now, although he mentioned barriers, there is actually a bit more. And that's because these two at the bottom were added later. So we'll come on to those at the end. So these are the platings that he offers. So there is standstill plating, which will make your red ring look like a standstill shield. There is Del Saber plating, which will make it look like a shield of Del Saber. Epsilon plating will make it look like an Epsigard. Honeycomb plating will make it look like a honeycomb reflector. Heart plating, I think, makes it look like a safety heart. Deep plating makes it look like a From the Depths. Angel plating, I think, makes it look like an angel ring. Bunny plating turns it into bunny ears. Cat plating makes it look like cat ears. And then Divine Filter and Lock-on Filter are something I'll talk about a bit later. Now, onto the downside of this quest, which is the amount of items you have to farm to get these. So as I mentioned, these are purely cosmetic. They have no impact on stats or anything. These are very much for people who either have a lot of gear, do a lot of trading, or have a lot of time to hunt stuff, because the requirements are crazy. So if we take the standstill plating, for example. So to craft a standstill plating, you need 1 Yahoo, which is a mag. And it doesn't mean the mag cell, it means the actual mag, so you'd have to make the mag. 10 Grass Assassin Sabers, 8 Standstill Shields, 5 Secure Feet, 2 Soul Eaters. Bear in mind that Soul Eater is from a story side quest, so you'd have to do that twice on 2 different characters or different difficulties. 2 Rupekas and 1 Iron Faust. Again, that's an Iron Faust, not a Panzer Faust, so you'd have to find a Panzer Faust and then upgrade it to an Iron Faust. And bear in mind, you lose all this gear to trade it in. So it is a big investment to get these. So that is for the standstill plating. Yeah, I am a bit short on some items. Then we have Del Saber plating. This needs 8 shields of Del Saber. So what you'll notice is that the item that it mimics the appearance of, you'll tend to need a lot of those. So it's 8 shield of Del Sabers, 8 Del Sabers busters, 1 Kasami Bracer, 1 Orochi Agito, which again is the 1975 Agito and converted, 2 HP Resurrections, which you can only get from Claire's Deal 5, 2 Siren Glass Hammers, 1 S-Parts version 201, which is very rare, 1 Proof of Sword Saint, which again is a swordsman's law that you then have to spend 20,000 kills to unseal, and 1 Plantain Fan, which again is an upgrade item. So yeah, there is a huge investment to get these. So next we have the Epsilon plating. This requires 10 Epsi guards, 5 Giga bazookas, 2 S-Barrels hands 1. Now they are an upgrade, so you have to get the S-Barrels arms, convert the body part into the S-Barrels hands, and then upgrade the S-Barrels hands, and then do that twice. 2 anti-android rifles, 2 anno rifles, 1 electro frame, 1 D-Parts version 101, 1 white ill card, which again is very rare. You can get the section ID cards through the special techer as well, through Corrin, but again, it's not particularly good rate to get them. 1 3064 DB Saber, which I think is rare. I'm sure that's the rare DB Saber. And 1 V101, and if you try hunting V101, you'll know that it never seems to drop. So yeah, huge investment. Next is the honeycomb plating. For this, you need 10 Pan Arms blades, 3 honeycomb reflectors, 3 TP resurrections, which are from Claire's Deal 5. 1 Ismaila, which I think is an event item. I think you can only get that from... I know you can get it from the Easter shop, I think. 2 tension blasters, which I think they're a seasonal rapid drop. I could be wrong. 1 photon filter, which is quite hard to get, and 1 double cannon. So that is, you need a Lavis cannon, and then 2 Syncestors to turn it into a Lavis blade and then a double cannon. That is a hell of a lot of investment. So yeah, these are not items you're going to trade for if you're just casually playing the game. These are very much, I feel, intended for people who have sunk probably hundreds and hundreds of hours into PSO, who have got most of the best gear in the game and just want something else to go for, like a long-term goal. So next we have the heart plating. This requires 1 Varuna. Now this, at first glance, might seem really easy because you might think, oh, it's just the mag that hunters get really early on. But it's Varuna with an asterisk. Varuna with an asterisk is a mag cell mag on Ephinea that makes a high level mag look like a Varuna. So you need the mag cell, the actual mag cell itself, which is a seasonal rapid drop, and then make the mag, and then you're getting rid of the mag. You need 10 Go Boomer's Claws, 1 Pinkle card, which is very rare, 1 Safety Heart, which requires a very rare barrier and an upgrade item, 1 Love Heart, which is a Spirit Garment plus a Magic Rock Heart key to get, and 1 Dark Bridge. Dark Bridge requires a Parasitic Gene Flow, which is a pretty rare drop. But what you'll notice is a lot of the items that it requires are things that you wouldn't typically use often. I mean, there are some exceptions like V101, but for example, Dark Bridge is typically not used that often. So it's nice that it has a use now. Next, we got the deep plating. This needs 10 Belra cannons, 2 Flapjack flappers, which is still one of the best named weapons in the game, 2 Heavenly Resists, which I think are from Claire's Deal, 2 From the Depths, which is a shield from Claire's Deal that requires a lot of upgrades, 1 Blueful card, which is very rare, 1 Dressplate, which is pretty hard to get and also very useful, and 1 V502, which is one of the most useful units in the game. So you're sacrificing a lot here. So next we have the Angel plating. This requires 1 Angel's Wing, which is a mag, which needs a mag cell, 10 Sorcerer's Canes, 3 Angel Rings, 1 Adept, so again that is a limiter that you've spent 20,000 kills to unseal and is also very useful, and 1 Naze Claw. And the problem with that is finding the Naze Claw, because if you go and look at the Naze Claw drops, they are horrendously bad. So good luck with that one. On a personal note, I probably wouldn't trade for that one just because I wouldn't like giving up a Naze Claw that I'd found if I did find one, because it's so rare. But again, these are very much intended for people who want a very long-term goal. Next we have the bunny plating. This needs 1 Chow, which again is the Chow mag, which also, if you know, Chow is quite an awkward mag to make, so it will take you a little while to make it. 5 Hilda Blues cane, not Hilda Bears cane, Hilda Blues. 3 bunny ears. 2 Kamui. So 2 Kamui is an item you can only get from Claire's Deal 5, which requires a lot of trades to get. And 1 Handgun Gold, and Handgun Gold is incredibly hard to get. Again, I don't think I'd be happy trading in a Handgun Gold to get the bunny plating personally, but... Next we have the cat plating. So for the cat plating, you need a Dreamcast mag, which, if you know, this requires several mag cells and a lot of upgrading. 10 Rappies fans, 5 Gigaboomers claws. They're not too bad, it's just a lot of items. 3 cat ears, 3 Mercurius rods, which are a trade-in in Claire's Deal 5. It's not particularly hard to get, but it's just a bit of work to get 3. 1 Burning Visit, which is a flame visit that's been upgraded. And 1 Prophets of Motav, which is, again, incredibly rare. So next we have these 2 items, which is the Divine Filter and the Lock-On Filter. Now these obviously are not platings. They do work in the same way as platings in that you use them on an equipped item, but they have a slightly different effect, which I'll go into. So the first one is the Divine Filter. Now, Divine Filter is an item that you use on either the Heaven Punisher or the Milmator. So Milmator is a mech gun that you use. You get it by combining an Ophelia Seas with a Heaven Punisher. And it's basically a mech gun that has the Divine Punishment special. But as you probably know, most of the weapons that have the Divine Punishment special can only use it during certain times of the day. It's usually based on beat time. I think it's normally if the first digit of the beat time is even, I believe it is, then you can use Divine Punishment. So because of that, Divine Punishment is only essentially useful for half of the day. Divine Filter is how you get around that. So by applying a Divine Filter to a Heaven Punisher or a Milmator, it will enable the Divine Punishment special to be used all the time, regardless of the beat time. Now, important to note that this, as far as I'm aware, does not work on the Heaven Striker with a Striker unit mag. I think this is only for the Heaven Punisher and the Milmator. But yeah, once you've used a Divine Filter, it will enable those weapons to use Divine Punishment with a special at any time of the day, which makes them very, very useful. Now, to get a Divine Filter, these 2 trades are a little bit easier to get than the other ones, so they're not as horrendous to get, but they will still require a little bit of work. So for Divine Filter, you need 3 Caduceus, 2 Select Cloaks, 1 Purple Ring. Purple Ring, if you don't know how to get that, I will probably do a video on how to get the rings at some point, but Purple Ring, you basically need to, if memory serves, it's from Towards the Future. I think, I could be wrong on this, but I think Purple Ring is the one that you get for doing a maximum kills run on TDF. Or I could be wrong. I know there's one you get for minimum kills and there's one you get for max kills. I think Purple Ring is max kills, but I could be wrong. You need 2 Divine Protections, 1 Photon Filter, and 1 Rappy Mag. So really, the Rappy Mag is going to be a little bit of work to make, but it is fairly simple mag to make at least. Caduceus is a fairly easy drop. Select Cloak is a little bit of work to get. Divine Protection is not too bad to get. Photon Filter is a little bit of an awkward drop. But you can see it's nowhere near as bad as the previous things I've shown. And then lastly, the final item is the Lock-On Filter. So Lock-On Filter is essentially the opposite of the Divine Filter. So as you might know, the Heaven Punisher and the Milmator, as I've said previously, normally during if it starts with an even number the beat time, you'll get the Divine Punishment special. But if it starts with an odd number, what you get is basically, I believe it's like a hard attack that has auto aim. So your character will automatically aim at things near you, but just as like a hard attack basically. Generally, it's not considered that useful for the most part, but there might be some situations where it's got some use. Now, Lock-On Filter basically disables Divine Punishment, so it gives you that auto aim attack all the time. there may be some use for this. I'm sure that people have figured out some use for it. For me, I personally feel the Divine Filter is the one you want to go for. I guess the only thing I can say is maybe for Mil Martor, maybe you would want to go Lock-on Filter, because the way the Divine Punishment works with mech guns is not particularly good. There's a little bit too much of a delay between the hits, so quite often you'll get interrupted out of it. Where with a handgun, it hits fast enough where you can quite often stun lock enemies with Divine Punishment. So maybe Lock-on Filter is more useful for Mil Martor, and Divine Filter is more useful for Heaven Punisher. But yeah, for me personally, I tend to prefer the Divine Punishment, so I'd probably gravitate towards this one. But if you do want to go for a Lock-on Filter, you need 3 Ophelia Cs. I mean, that's almost telling you that it's for the Mil Martor, because you need no Ophelia Cs to make Mil Martor. 2 Curse Cloaks, 1 Black Ring, 2 Striker Plus, 1 Photon Filter, and 1 Gungsi. Gungsi is a mag cell mag, I believe. I believe you make it from a Ruckmin, I think. So it's a little bit awkward to make. Ophelia Cs isn't too bad to get. Curse Cloak is a little bit awkward. Black Ring, I think, is the other ring you get from TTF, so if one of them is max kills, the other one's min kills. Striker Plus isn't too difficult to get, and Photon Filter is a little bit of a difficult drop. But again, nowhere near as bad as any of the platings for the red ring. So yeah, they basically just adjust how the Heaven Punisher and the Mil Martor function. So if you've got the Heaven Punisher and you love the Divine Punishment side of it, but you just wish it was more useful, this is a way of making it more useful. And I actually really like that. I like that they've made Heaven Punisher actually a usable weapon, because prior to this, it was a very awkward weapon to use because it's much weaker than Heaven Striker and Blue Burst. Heaven Striker obviously can use Divine Punishment if you use a Striker unit mag. And a lot of people would just use Heaven Striker instead. There was really not much incentive to use Heaven Punisher, which is a shame because it's such a rare item. It looks pretty cool, but it was just completely outclassed by Heaven Striker. Where by giving us the Divine Filter, it basically lets Heaven Punisher use Divine Punishment all the time and makes it useful. So I do appreciate that Ephinea have done that. As I said, the Lock-on Filter for me I don't feel is as useful, but maybe there's more use for it on the Mil Martor instead. Yeah, that more or less covers the Forge though. There isn't really much to do here. So just remember that this NPC is what you use to get rid of anything that you've applied to your red ring. And Montague is the NPC that you use to actually get the platings. Again, if you want to get the paints, because Montague doesn't give the paints out, there are a few quests that give those out as well. The cyan paint that I got from the anniversary shop on Ephinea, and you just trade anniversary badges for it. So we do have the anniversary coming up in August, so if you want one of the paints, maybe it's a good time to play then to get badges for it. But yeah, I think we'll end up there for today. Pretty simple video, but I just wanted to cover this for anyone who maybe wasn't aware that the Forge exists, or was maybe looking for a use for some of their gear that they don't use. Or even if you're just looking for an endgame hunt and you're not sure what to do in PSO anymore, some of these will give you a lot of things to go for. But yeah, we'll end that video there for today. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking, subscribing, or joining as a member on YouTube if you want to. You can also follow or sub on Twitch, which is SectionSkyly, either X and Bluesky, which are both SectionSkyly as well. And I do have a Discord channel you can join as well, so I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. Just a note, if you're waiting for the Seat of the Heart episode for Side Story, that will be coming in the next few weeks. I just haven't had time to record it really recently, so Seat of the Heart should be coming hopefully sometime in the next few weeks, so keep an eye out for that. We're also playing Phantasy Star 3 Generations of Doom at the moment on the Wednesday streams, so if you're into the classic JRPGs, feel free to join us over there. But yeah, we'll end that one there for today, and I will see you guys in the next episode. See you guys.